Hello, friends. So, you've probably heard the name Charles Darwin, right? And the theory of evolution. But what does it really mean? How does it explain this incredible journey from a single tiny cell to, well, the vast interconnected world of life we see today? Let's get into it and unlock that story together.
I mean, think about that for a second. It's a pretty wild idea, isn't it? The thought that over millions of years, one kind of creature can literally become a completely different creature. How in the world does something like that even happen?
And, it's not just about one single transformation. The idea here is that there's one big story that connects everything. I'm talking wolves, birds, the tiniest little bug, the biggest whale. They all somehow fit into this one epic narrative.
Okay, and then there's the big one. The question that always comes up, right? The one that gets everybody talking. Did humans really evolve from apes? Don't worry, we are absolutely going to tackle that one head on.
For centuries, really, for most of human history, where we came from was a total mystery. Where did all life come from? It was this giant puzzle, and for thousands of years, the smartest people tried to solve it. But a huge piece was missing. The key, you could say.
Well, that all changed. It changed when one man set out on a journey that would completely flip our understanding of life on its head. He's the one who found the key to this 4-billion-year-old mystery.
So, in 1859, this book comes out that just shakes everything up. It's called On the Origin of Species, written by a naturalist named Charles Darwin. See, before him, people explained our origins with stories, with myths, with philosophy. Darwin, he was the first person to offer a real, scientific explanation for how all this life came to be.
And you have to understand, the scale of this idea was just massive. This wasn't some small theory about why, some finches have pointy beaks and others have dull ones. No, this was a single idea that explained the entire 4-billion-year story of life on our planet. From the very first, simplest cell, all the way to, well, us and everything else.
So what was his big idea? How did he explain it all? Well, he figured out what the engine was, the engine driving all this incredible change. He called it natural selection. And yeah, let's dive right into that.
Okay, so you've probably heard the phrase survival of the fittest, right? That's basically this, but it's a little misleading. It's not like nature is holding some kind of competition. It's always simpler. It just means that organisms born with traits that happen to be a better match for their environment, well, they tend to stick around longer, have more kids, and pass on those helpful traits.
Let's make this super clear with the classic example, giraffes. First up, you've got variation. Just look around. No two living things are exactly the same. So back in the day, some giraffes were just born with slightly longer necks than others. Then comes the advantage. That little bit of extra neck length, it's a huge deal if it lets you reach food that others can't. So those giraffes eat better. That leads to reproduction. Because they're healthier, they survive longer and have more baby giraffes. And crucially, there's inheritance. They pass that long neck gene to their kids. Now repeat that process for millions of years. That's accumulation. That advantageous trait becomes the new normal, and boom, you get the super long-necked giraffes we see today.
All right, let's get to the part I know you've been waiting for. How does all this fit in with us? Let's talk about our own family tree. And while we're at it, let's bust one of the biggest myths in all of science.
Okay, so let's get this straight right now. The idea that humans evolved from the chimpanzees you see today, it's just wrong. That's not how it works. Think of it this way. You didn't evolve from your cousin, did you? No, you and your cousin share a common ancestor, your grandparents. It's the exact same idea here. Humans and modern apes share a common ancestor that lived millions of years ago. We're not parent and child, we're evolutionary cousins. We took different paths from the same starting point.
And wow, our branch of that family tree has been a long, long journey. Now this is a super simplified look at it, but it gives you an idea of the timeline. We're talking millions of years. From early human-like ancestors like Australopithecus to species like Homo erectus, until finally, just 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens, that's us, show up. In the grand scheme of things, we're pretty new here.
So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool story, but how do we actually know any of this is real? And that's a fair question. The thing is, this isn't just a guess or a wild idea. It's one of the most solidly supported theories in all of science. There is literally a mountain of evidence.
So where does that evidence come from?
Well, the two heavy hitters are fossils and genetics.
Think of the fossil record as a history book written in stone and bone. It shows us the actual physical evidence of species changing over time. And then there's genetics, something Darwin didn't even know existed. This is like finding the family's source code. Our DNA reveals these incredible, hidden connections between all living things.
And genetics gives us some truly mind-blowing proof. Just look at this number, 98%. That's roughly how much of our DNA we share with our closest living cousins, chimpanzees. 98%. That tiny little 2% difference is what accounts for, well, everything that makes us human. Our brains, our language, our cities. It's just incredible. It really shows how connected we are, but also how unique our own evolutionary path has been.
Okay, let's just play a game for a second. Let's imagine, what if this was all wrong? What if tomorrow some scientist makes a discovery that completely debunks the entire theory of evolution?
Well, for science, it would be an absolute catastrophe. See, evolution isn't just some neat idea tucked away in a biology textbook. It's the foundation, it's the bedrock that all of modern biology, medicine, and genetics is built on. I mean, think about how we develop new medicines or vaccines, or understand things like antibiotic resistance. That's watching evolution happen in real time. Without this theory, the whole building of life sciences would just crumble. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? What should you walk away with? For me, it's this powerful idea that we aren't just living on the planet, we are part of the planet. We're not separate from nature. Every single living thing, from a mushroom to a blue whale, is a distant relative. We are all connected in this incredible, unbroken web of life.
And so that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If science is telling us that we are all, literally, part of one huge family tree, that we share this planet and this long history with every other living thing, how should that change how we see the world? And maybe more importantly, how we act in it? That's something worth thinking about.